All right, hello. My name is Tanya Noyce, and I'm here to share my code review for CS499 Milestone 1. In this video documentation, I will conduct an in-depth analysis and improvement of 3 important artifacts. My aim is to describe the current functionality of the code, identify areas for potential enhancement, and explain the improvements I have implemented. These changes are designed to ensure alignment with course objectives and readiness for my e-portfolio. First, I will evaluate and improve an artifact from CS320, Software Testing, Automation, and Quality Assurance, that showcases my understanding and abilities in software engineering and design. I concentrated on the contact service.java code, which facilitates a contact management system enabling users to perform CRUD operations, creating, reading, updating, and deleting contact details. While working with the JUnit test cases, I faced difficulties in achieving the desired testability of my code. This project serves as a valuable chance for me to revisit my previous work, tackle the challenges encountered, improve my skills, and incorporate more advanced software engineering concepts. To enhance this artifact, I will focus on improving that adhere to advanced software engineering principles, particularly emphasizing modularity. While the current methods for managing the contacts, obviously right here, such as adding, updating, and deleting, function adequately, breaking them into smaller reusable components will lead to a more understandable, scalable, and maintainable code structure. Input validation and error management are critical aspects currently missing in the implementation. For example, this system does not verify phone number format or handle exceptions properly. I will implement through input validation, ensuring phone numbers have exactly 10 digits, and enhancing exception management for invalid entries. Additionally, the use of an array list for sharing contact information results in time complexity for searching, updating, and deleting. To enhance efficiency, I will switch to a hash map using contact IDs as keys, which will significantly lower the time complexity for these operations. Implementing these changes emphasizes the importance of modular design, input validation, and progress in software development. By breaking the code into smaller, targeted functions, I can showcase my grasp of object-oriented concepts. Using thorough validation and strong exception handling illustrates my capability to create reliable systems that tackle real-world problems, ensuring stability and dependability. Additionally, shifting from an array list to a hash map will improve the efficiency of contact retrieval, highlighting my skill in selected suitable data structures and my dedication to enhancing application performance for a better user experience. So that is section 1 or category 1. So this leads us to the topic of algorithms and data structures. We can use the same code from the CS320 course to enhance functionality. The system in question is designed for managing contacts, enabling users to effortlessly add, edit, and delete contact information. Currently, an array list is employed for handling these contacts, which is functional but not optimal for quick searches. To address this, I plan to concentrate on refining the data structures and algorithms utilized in contact management, aiming to enhance both efficiency and performance. To enhance the contact management system, I plan to increase its efficiency by substituting the array list with a hash map, again for handling the contacts. This change is expected to drastically lower the time complexity for crucial operations such as searching, deleting, and updating contacts. Currently, these actions require linear searches within the array list. Transitioning to a hash map will significantly accelerate these important functions. I will redefine the algorithm used for searching and updating contacts. The search function will be optimized to utilize the contact ID as a key to the hash map, facilitating immediate access to any contact. This modification not only streamlines the search process, but it also improves the overall system performance. The update procedure will be designed to modify only the necessary fields of a contact, minimizing unnecessary actions and enhancing system efficiency. These comprehensive upgrades will result in a more responsive and effective contact management system. I will demonstrate my understanding of data structures by replacing the array list with a hash map, showcasing my capabilities to select the most appropriate data structures for specific tasks, thereby enhancing the efficiency of the contact system. This change will alter the time complexity for adding, updating, and deleting contacts, reflecting my expertise in optimizing system performance. Furthermore, I will refine the search functions to target only the modified fields, minimizing unnecessary operations and improving overall program efficiency. This approach illustrates my ability to develop algorithms that adhere to industry best practices, resulting in a more effective software solution. Now we are on the final artifact. The final artifact, Animal Shelter, which we will move to over here now, is taken from Project 2 of the CS340 course. This project focused on developing a comprehensive CRUD, create, read, update, and delete application that employs MongoDB for the efficient management of data related to an animal shelter. The application is designed to enable various essential functions. Users can easily add new animals to the database, view detailed information about each animal, and delete records that are no longer needed. By using this application, users are empowered to effectively manage and maintain crucial information concerning all the animals at the shelter. This not only streamlines the process of data handling, but it also significantly enhances the overall management practices of the shelter, ensuring that the needs of the animals are better met and that the resources are used efficiently. The current system operates effectively, but it does need room for improvement, particularly in its database functions and methods for data access. My objective is to improve it by integrating the advanced features of MongoDB. This includes implementing indexes to facilitate faster searches based on animal IDs, species, and breed, leveraging aggregation pipelines for intricate queries concerning age, breed, and adoption status, establishing a user authentication system to safeguard sensitive information and designing a user-friendly web interface using HTML and JavaScript to simplify data interactions. These improvements aim to develop a more efficient and user-focused database system that aligns with the ever-evolving needs of the shelter. Enhancing database search efficiency can also be accomplished by creating indexes on commonly used fields like animal ID numbers, species types, breed information. This strategy not only accelerates query processing, but it also improves the user experience. Additionally, using aggregation pipelines is essential for handling intricate queries, allowing users to sort animals by various factors such as age, breed, and adoption status. These provide critical insights into the demographic and and living conditions of the animals. This information helps shelters better understand their situations, enabling informed decisions that enhance animal welfare and management. By adopting these advanced database methods, shelters can function more effectively and address the needs of both the animals and the community. This comprehensive framework is designed to carefully manage access to sensitive information and regulate permissions for create, read, update, and delete. The CRUD functions, ensuring that only users with appropriate roles can execute those actions. In addition, front-end integration can play a vital role in visually appealing and user-friendly web interface using HTML and JavaScript. This approach facilitates a smoother interaction with the database through the web browsers, making the navigation within the system straightforward. By implementing those strategies, security is strengthened while data management becomes more efficient for various user roles. This not only improves the overall user experience, but it also enhances system accessibility, allowing users to complete their tasks more efficiently. So now we will take a look at the code review checklist and answer and analyze both codes. So let me go ahead and I will shrink this down and I will open this up and we will move this over a little bit. Okay, or maybe not. All right, so does the code completely and correctly implement the design? So since I am using the same code for categories 1 and 2, I'm going to be answering both at the same time. So this one is, does the code completely and correctly, sorry, I'm just trying to move it over, so, all right, we'll just flip between the two. So does the code completely and correctly implement the design? I think right now, like I said in my previous explanation, I think that yes, it is a great code to start with. It does need some modifications, and I'm willing to do that. It does implement the design as of right now, but everything can always be improved upon. Does the code conform to any pertinent coding standards? Yes, it does. It has comments in the code. It has all the classes that you would need, and it has the general formatting that you would see in a JavaScript code. Is the code well structured and consistent in style and consistently formatted? Yes, it does look like that it is all in the format that it's supposed to be, and I will continue this format when I go to actually start adjusting the code. Are there any uncalled or unneeded procedures or for any unreachable code? So I'm not really sure what that exactly means, but I'm going to take a stab at it. I think if there's stuff that isn't supposed to be in here, then we could delete it and improve upon it. As of right now, I don't see anything more to improve upon other than what I'm already starting to think about. But it's one of those things that until you get into it, you won't exactly know until you're actually involved in it, and then you may have to do some changes. So it is very possible that there might be some uncalled for or unneeded procedures as we move forward. But as of right now, I don't really see any major issues other than what I'm already envisioning. Are there any leftover stubs or test routines in the code? I don't see any leftover stubs. This looks pretty basic and it's straightforward, so I don't see that happening. Can any code be replaced by calls to external reusable components or library functions? I don't see anything in the code that would need to have that happen on either end. I feel like that there is plenty of code here. Most of the calls, there's already plenty of calls happening. So I don't think that we need any more or it needs to be replaced. Are there any blocks of repeated code that could be condensed into a single procedure? Obviously, yes, absolutely. There is always code that could be condensed. But sometimes condensing the code isn't always the best option. It's happened in a prior class that I tried to condense a code and it actually failed. So I try not to condense so many codes, but yes, there are times where you can condense a code and it will work. Again, you will not know until you get into the project to find out if there is anything that needs to be condensed. Let's see. Is storage use efficient? Yes, storage use is efficient. I believe in that. Are symbolics used rather than magic number constraints or string constraints? I don't see any of that in this one. I don't see, there are some strings, but I don't think it's going to take away from the project. It just enhances it. Are there any modules excessively complex and should be restructured or split into multiple routines? I don't see anything in this code that would need that. So I think we are okay there. So is the code clearly and adequately documented with an easy maintained commenting system? Absolutely. This has a lot of like basic straightforward comments, adding a contact, deleting a contact, updating contact list. It's completely straightforward. So yes. Are all comments consistent with the code? Yes, absolutely. Again, we have it straightforward. Deleting, updating, adding, straightforward. Are all variables properly defined with meaningful, consistent, and clear names? Yes, absolutely. We have add contact, which is what we're trying to do here. And we're doing if contact exists, it's false. So, and then down here we delete a contact, and down here we update contact. So yes, they are all the variables are well defined. Do all assigned variables have proper type consistency or casting? Yes, absolutely do. Just like I said before, they all are either underneath with the comment helping out to let the coders know that this is the if you want to add a contact, if you want to delete a contact, if you want to update a contact. So that is all there and it's consistent and it fits the code. Are there any redundant or used variables? Not that I see. I don't see that there's anything that's redundant. They are all pretty straightforward because in this scenario, we are doing just adding, deleting, and updating, which is something you're going to be doing anyways, but there's no like double adding or double deleting. So no, there is no redundant. Does the code avoid comparing floating point numbers for equality? I don't see that at all in this code. This code does not do that. So no. Does the code systematically prevent rounding errors? Well, with this code, you don't really need to round anything just because we're updating contacts. The only thing that I would change, like I said, is the phone number situation and make sure that that is correct. But other than that, there's no rounding or anything that has to do with numbers. Does the code avoid additions and subtractions on numbers with greatly different magnitudes? Yes, it does. So if you see here, it does change, it does do additions and subtractions, not particularly on numbers, but if you're thinking of a person as a number, then yes, it would actually, it does avoid additions and subtractions. Are divisors listed for zero or noise? No, absolutely not. We don't really need that with this code just because we're not dividing people. Where, I mean, the only thing you might be would be delete, but that's more of a subtraction thing. So I really don't see any dividing. Loops and branches. All right, so are all loops, branches, and logic constructs complete, correct, and properly nested? Yes, absolutely. As you can see here, they are all properly formatted. They're all properly put in the right format, and they all have a function in what they need to do. Are the most common cases tested first if-else chains? So, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I am so sorry. Meant to go over here. So the if-else chains, there is a few ifs. So right here, there's an if, and then there's plenty of ifs here, but then there's also returns. So we don't have, up here there is an else. So right here we do have a for. I forgot about this section here for the adding a contact. So there is ifs and elses, and they are properly formatted and used appropriately. Are all cases covered in an if-else or case block, or including else default clauses? Yes, just like I said, it's all right here. They are all in the right format, properly formatted, and help support that function of adding contacts. Does every case statement have a default? No. No case statement, I don't believe, has a default. They all seem to have their own thing. Because of the nature of adding, deleting, and updating, they're all going to be doing something different just because of the nature of doing all those functions. Does every case statement have a default? Again, no. Or wait, that's how that I just answered that. So I'm sorry about that. Are loops, terminated conditions, obvious, and invariable achievable? So let me think about that 1 second. Are loop termination conditions obvious? Yes, absolutely. So they are obvious right here. So this loop right here, if there is a contact that exists, which is false, then you need to do, for contact 1, you need to make a list of contacts. If this equals, then the contact exists true. And then if it doesn't exist, then you're going to return false. So they do have terminations in the loop right here and up here. So in the loop, there's always a termination, the else clause, with the return of false. Are indexes or subscripts properly initialized just prior to the loop? Yes, absolutely. So right here, prior to the loop, this is actually already set up for the contact information and for adding a contact. So yes, absolutely. Can any statements that are enclosed within loops be placed outside the loops? No, I don't think you want to do that. Just because I believe that it would throw an error code. I would like to keep all of my statements inside the loop. I wouldn't like them placed outside the loop just because To me, it makes it look kind of messy, and I don't feel like there's an appropriate way to do that. Does the code in the loop avoid manipulating the index variable or using it upon exit from the loop? Well, what I'm going to say is I like to keep my statements in the loops. I don't like to play them outside the loops. And it doesn't change the index variable. I feel that the code right now works and looks nice. It just needs improvements. Are indexes, pointers, and subscripts tested against arrays, record, or file bound? I don't believe that applies to this. The only indexes would be the listing and the contacts, but I don't believe that there's any array or a record that needs to be altered too much. Are imported data and input arguments tested for validity and completeness? Yes, absolutely. So all the arguments in here are tested for that. Are all output variables assigned? Yes, absolutely. So we have an output variable here, we have an output variable here, and here. Are the correct data operated on in each statement? Yes. As you can see here, in contacts and in deleting a contact, you can see that the data is listed and that it is ready for deployment if you're going to be adding a contact or if you're going to be deleting one. Is every memory allocated deallocated? I don't think there is one in this code specifically, but that is one thing to actually look at and maybe think about. Maybe that might be something to add to the code. Are timeouts or error traps used for external device accesses? Again, I don't see that in this code specifically, but that might be something that I might need to think about for the future. Are the files checked for existence before attempting to access them? I think that yes, they are there. They are checked. Obviously right here we are using this. They're checking boolean contact exist equals false. If it comes back true, then they're going to be added to the list. So yes, absolutely. And the same for the deleting. And lastly on this one, are all files and devices left in the correct state upon programming termination? Yes, absolutely. So they actually do go into the state of else and return false on all of them. And then if everything is not correct, it will all be returned false. All right. So that takes care of that code for categories 1 and 2. So category 3, we're going to move on and do this code. So in this code, which is category 3, so does the code completely and correctly implement the design? Yes, absolutely. So we have a working HTML format with this one. It shows the code. It shows how it's set up. You can see right here, it goes into HTML. So this is a web setup using MongoDB. Does the code conform to any pertinent coding standards? Yes, just like I said, it is set up for HTML. It uses Jupyter version of Dash, and it uses MongoDB, as well as, so that way it can use and flip that to an HTML format. Is the code well structured, consistent in style, and consistently formatted? Yes, absolutely. As you can see, this code is completely formatted with very great comments as well as the layout of the format of the code. Very, very professional, and it lists everything that you would need to do to include, like this, for example, dashboard layout and view. If you scroll a little bit further down, then you have interaction between components and controllers. So as we scroll, you will see that this code has a lot of comments in it, which is great. So that way people who are working on it, others in the group, can also see what you are doing. Are there any uncalled for or unneeded procedures or any unreachable code? No. This is a fully functional code. Yes, it could obviously have some upgrades to it, and I will do that. But as of right now, this code actually runs quite well, and I don't see any uncalled procedures. Are there any leftover stubs or test routines in the code? No, I don't see anything that's left over. This was a very intensive project. So this project I spent a lot of time on, and there wasn't any leftover stubs from what I can see. Can the code be replaced by calls to external reusable components or library functions? Again, I don't think that we need to do that, just because each function has its own component attached to it. So the calls that it needs to make are efficient for it to run faster, especially on HTML on a web page. Are there any blocks of repeated code that could be condensed into a single procedure? As always, like before, you can always condense a code, always. Should it be done all the time? No, but you can do it on occasion. And yes, there's probably some here because this is a very long code, but there is a lot involved in it. So there may be some points where you can condense that code, but it will have to be looked at carefully to make sure you don't disrupt the actual full functional part of the website side of it. Is storage use efficient? I believe the storage use is efficient. I don't see any issues with that at all. Are the symbolics used rather than magic number constants or string constants? I don't see any problem with that either. That seems to be okay. So I probably won't mess with that at all because that seems to be up and running and fully functional. Are any modules excessively complex and should be restructured or split into multiple routines? They are already split into multiple routines. I don't think we need to readjust anything. They are already highlighted into different routines. So this one is interaction between components and controllers, and that's what this is. So I don't think that we need to adjust this at all, just because it already is. It's already structured. I don't think it needs another restructuring on top of it. Is the code clearly and adequately documented with an easy to maintain commenting style? Yes, absolutely. There's comments everywhere in here, which is fantastic. I think it's very clear, it's consistent, and it helps other programmers understand the code. Are the comments consistent with the code? Absolutely, yes. They are thorough. They are throughout the code, as you can see. It teaches and helps other programmers who might be working on the code to understand what is happening in this block of code. All right, let's move on to variables. So, are all variables properly defined with meaningful, consistent, clear names? Yes, absolutely. Every single one has a distinct variable. So right here you have disaster. Right here you have mount. Then here you got water. So those are all consistent. The same up here in the dashboard and layout. Do all assigned variables have proper type, consisting, or casting? Yes, absolutely. Just like I said, everything is laid out. Everything has a spot and a job, and it's clearly identified. Are there any redundant or unused variables? No, absolutely not. Not in this code. This code, you need all the variables to be pointing at certain things. So like this, for example, the water rescue filter, this needs to be pointing. This one is a mountain. So these might all be filters, but they're all specifically pointing to something specific in the code. Does the code avoid comparing floating point numbers for equality? No. There is no real reason to have this code have that. Does the code systematically prevent rounding errors? Not in this code. This code doesn't need rounding because it's taking care of animals and where they're at. So there's no need to round up numbers in this code. Are there any redundant or unused variables? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Does the code avoid additions and subtractions on numbers with greatly different magnitudes? Yes. It does avoid additions and subtractions. There is a part of a piece of code in here that does deny adding extra animals into the code, or into that section of the code. Are divisors tested for zero or noise? No. In this code, we don't really need that. Are all loops, branches, and logic constructs complete, correct, and properly nested? Absolutely. So as you see here, we have an if filter of water, but if it's not water, then it's going to move to else if. So then we're going to do the mountain or wilderness rescue feature. So then it'll go to mount, and so on and so forth. So yes, and they are properly formatted. Let's see. Sorry, lost my spot. Are the most common cases tested first in if-else chains? Yes, absolutely. Like I was just showing you right here. This right here. Let's go here. Right there. This right here, if filter type water, and then it drops to, so if it's not water, then it'll go to an else if. Does every case statement have a default? I'm going to say no. I don't see any case statements having a default in this code. Are loop termination conditions obvious and invariable achievable? There are terminations of the code. I'm not exactly sure if it is what you are asking, but there are termination conditions that are achievable by using an else, as of right here. To reset to no filter, you're going to go to else, and it's going to reset the whole entire filter. Are indexes or subscripts properly initialized just prior to the loop? Yes, absolutely. So just prior to this loop, we're going to update the dashboard. Can any statements that are enclosed within loops be placed outside the loop? On this particular, I'm going to say no. Again, I don't like putting statements outside loops. It just makes it look inconsistent. I prefer to keep all of it looking nice and neat, just like this. Does the code in the loop avoid manipulating the index variable or using it upon exit? No, absolutely not. It does what it's supposed to do. So the code is not going to manipulate the index variable. It's going to do what it needs to do. It's going to just filter the dogs that are water rescues or the dogs that are mountain rescues. Are index pointers and subscripts tested against array records or file bounds? I don't believe so. I don't see that. If you see that, let me know, but I do not see that in this code. Are imported data and input arguments tested for validity and completeness? All of the imported data are tested. So this is tested from the list that was imported from, I believe, let me scroll back up here. It's imported from the DCC. So the DCC is part of DASH, and you're basically the ACC. You're getting it from the Animal Control Center. You're getting all the information. Are all the output variables assigned? Yes, all of them are assigned. As you can see here, they all have a certain format that they have to follow, and they are all assigned. All the output variables are assigned. Are the correct data operated on in each statement? Yes. So these are all corrected data right here. I've fixed them and corrected them. So these are this is the data table. So this is actually all of the correct data that's in each statement. Is every memory allocated deallocated? Is every memory allocation delocated? Yes. I believe that in this code there is that function, but does it need it? Probably not. Are timeouts or error traps used for external device accesses? No, absolutely not. Are files checked for existence before attempting to access them? Yes, they are. That's where this else comes in. So right here, if the water, the else if would come in and do the mount or the disaster if it's not connected to water. So yes, they will be checked. Are the files and devices left in the correct state upon program termination? Yes, they are left in the correct state, but they will also, let me move over. So they are left in the same state. However, when you do search for an animal and you exit out of it, it will reset it. So yes, it will actually be left in the same correct state for you to look back on and try and find the animal that you're looking for in the database. So that is the end of my presentation. I hope that this was good, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and on this. Thank you very much.